Good evening, folks. This is the Park and Recreation meeting on December 7th. Time is 7:02. I call the meeting to order. The first one is a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Hello, Whitney. Could we do a roll call, please?
Yes. Chair Kumarapan,
Aye.
Vice Chair Stanek,
Here.
Commissioner Shu,
Here.
Commissioner Tombe,
Here.
and Commissioner Begor. Like she is absent.
Great, thank you. And let's go to the approval of the minutes. That's item number 1, meeting minutes for the November 16th, 2020 special meeting we had, and review and approve the minutes of it. Let's see whether anybody has any comments or corrections to be incorporated. I'm looking at it. Looks like none at this point. So can I have a motion, please?
I'll move to approve the minutes of the meeting from November 22nd.
Number 16.
16, November 16th, sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Seconded.
Okay. It's great. It's minutes passed through it. Thank you. Sorry. So let's voting. I just rushed it.
No worries. Chair Kumarapan,
Yes. Aye.
Vice Chair Stanek,
Yes.
Commissioner Shu,
Yes.
Commissioner Tombe,
Yay.
and Commissioner Begor is absent.
Excellent. So it's passed 4 and 0, or I don't know, 4 and 1 absent. Good. Thank you. So getting on to the next item, postponements. While I was reviewing it and I had another meeting with Dr. Joanne Aswal to do this one, the project evaluation criteria and process is there, but along with that, we wanted to review the spreadsheet and all of them, which is getting ready. So at this point, given the lot of other programs, I wanted to do one more time to postpone this one, but we put in all items earlier, but in case if you want to continue, we can. I just wanted to make sure that before Commissioner, I just want to get some update from Dr. Joanne on what about the other, the spreadsheet. Go ahead, please. Dr. Joanne, can you tell me when the spreadsheet is getting ready and stuff, so that whether we can continue without that or we want to push it out?
Sure, but I'm happy to have Nisha speak as well, Commissioner Tombe speak as well before I give an update. Whatever, if you want me to go. Okay. So we have a meeting coming up in January that's very close to the break being over for us to come back to you all. And so what I was hoping is that we could move this item. It will be a lengthy, very involved item, potentially to the January meeting, which we are planning to bring the actual evaluation form for community grant funding, which kind of goes nicely hand in hand with it. To review at that meeting, along with city work program items for suggestions. So that was the thinking. I'm more than happy to accommodate whichever you choose. Just wanted to throw that out there as an option.
Sure. I think Commissioner Nisha, you had some question on that one or concern. Please go ahead, and accordingly we can continue. We can. I don't have any problem. But since this request was brought in after we put in all the things, because last time we talked about let's put all those items which are sitting there. So I packed it. Then when I looked at it one Aswal, I think there is a work plan updates and all of them, which is going to have a deep dive. And here it is missing with, I won't say missing, it has one more component getting ready, which I thought, okay, we can do it. That's what we talked about it. That's the reason of, can we really put it together as a package for January meeting when we go through all of them? Or we can, the option is that we can go through the rest, and then if we have time, we can just even review what we have on it and then before we go. So that's the reason I was recommending it. If there are any comments, I do not know how do we really go with it. If people want to continue, we can. Let's talk about it. Commissioner Nisha, please go ahead.
Oh, I just was wondering what is kind of I know that this came about from the strategic plan conversation. So I just wanted an update as to like where that is. I know you had said that we were originally waiting for Public Works to finish their timeline, their plan, and then the department was going to go through and do theirs, and then you were going to consolidate. So I just wanted to know where we were in that process in relation to this, because it's been a number of months now, and I know people are pretty interested in what we're planning on doing.
So this item is directly associated to just submitting evaluations and how that process goes and how to do that and how we establish deadlines. And so that the strategic plan is actually not affected by this item, but the strategic plan item will be updated in the work program update for you.
Yeah.
And staff are still planning to potentially do a special meeting in January for that, barring any other issues that we come upon. But yes, January is the time frame that we're looking at doing a special meeting to bring you the prioritization.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if this has nothing to do with the prioritization, I don't really care about it.
This is the framework, how we will use it going forward in future project evaluation. It's nothing to do with what we have already done. And they are coming up with some modification based on our inputs and stuff. It's okay, we can just go and start talking about it, but I think if an accompanied it, I thought
that's fine. I misunderstood the
no worries.
purpose,
I think it's a very valid question which will be covered. So in that case, what I recommend is that we will postpone the item number 2, project evaluation criteria and process, to the next meeting, where it will also accompany the corresponding sheets where how we're going to evaluate all of them, so that we can review as one package. I don't think that we need to go for a voting on this, I believe.
You're the chair, you can just postpone it.
Yeah, I just postponing it. And we'll move to the item number 3, which is athletic field use policy, youth sports organization feedback and next steps. I know we had it in the last week and now we made it to this week now. So sure, please go ahead. And the recommendation action is mainly to receive the update and then provide feedback and see what next steps are. So leave it to, I think, Jenny, I think you may be presenting it, I believe.
I am. Thank you for having me back. Thank you for allowing me to postpone it when I was unexpectedly unable to present last time at the last minute. I do appreciate that. But good evening and good to see you all again. I am here tonight to give you a very brief update on where we are with the athletic field use policy, specifically to share the feedback we received from the youth sports organizations and our next steps in the process. And I think Whitney is going to share our lovely PowerPoint with you.
Whitney, are you going to do it? Okay, sorry.
He's on it, always. You could go to the next slide. So this is our agenda for tonight. We are, I'll provide you just a recap of our outreach to the 9 youth sports organizations and review the feedback that we received. Then I'll explain our current policy as it relates to use on Sundays. And we'll look at a comparative analysis that we did with surrounding cities regarding their Sundays, specifically around their Sunday use policy. And then just go over an overview of the next steps that we're planning on in the process. Next slide. So just to refresh your memory, back in January of last year, we went to the youth sports organizations to reach out to them to talk to them about their interest in use for Sundays, and we received minimal feedback. Got a little sidetracked with COVID and the shelter in place. So we then re-engaged with them in September and via Zoom and telephone, and we were able to gather information from all 9 sports groups. So this chart right here does show the results of this outreach. And as you can see, all the youth sports groups are listed on the left, and then each column represents what they are interested in for Sunday use. So as you can see, not many of the sports groups are interested in Sundays for practices, and nor are they really interested in additional Sundays for tournaments. So I'm going to focus on our requested games column. And as you can see in this column, the Cupertino, the California Cricket Academy, the Golden Triangle Soccer Group, and are interested in all Sundays or as many as they can get. De Anza Youth Soccer is interested in about 20 Sundays a year. And then if you look at American Youth Soccer on the top and Youth Volleyball on the bottom, there's say makeup in their square. And what they're really interested in is the ability to schedule makeup games on Sunday in case they're canceled due to rain. And Cupertino Little League and Youth Girls Softball, they do play on Sundays. They just don't play in Cupertino. So they schedule all away games on Sundays, and they would just like the ability to schedule a few home games on Sundays. The final column there is the current tournament use. And this is what the youth sports groups are actually using on Sundays historically on an annual basis. We do allow them a maximum of 2 Sundays a year for tournament use. And as you can see, I think it's important to point out that 6 out of these 9 organizations are actually using their allotment. 3 of them aren't using it at all. So out of a potential 18 Sundays that could be used under our current policy, only 11 Sundays are actually being used. Next slide. Our current policy regarding Sunday use is we allow 2 Sunday permit dates per year per organization. They may be granted by staff to accommodate special tournaments or events, not regularly scheduled league play. There is also another provision that an organization providing a unique recreational opportunity, such as one serving special needs youth, may be assigned a special priority status following review of their offering by the Parks and Recreation Commission, including use of fields on Sunday. We currently have 2 groups that use our fields on Sundays under this provision. AYSO 64 VIP program is a soccer adaptive needs program. They play on Sunday afternoons from May through June. The Little League Challenger program, which is a baseball adaptive needs program, also plays May through June on Sunday afternoons. They only play once per month. Next slide. So we did do a comparative analysis with other cities and what they and their restrictions on Sunday use. As you can see, all the cities around us allow play on Sundays with no restrictions. We are the only city that restricts use on Sundays. Next slide. So our next step in this process is staff is preparing community outreach efforts regarding Sunday field use and the potential impacts. In analyzing those, following the community outreach, we will return to the Parks and Recreation Commission to present and review the proposed athletic field use policy, and then go from there to presenting the policy to council and hoping they adopt the new policy. And with that, that's the end of my presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, so thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. Let's have the clarifying questions from commissioners. And I already see hands up. Commissioner Nisha, you're going first.
Thank you so much. Really excited to be moving forward on this. I had a couple of questions. The first is, what was the original rationale behind not wanting to program for Sunday?
I believe the original, this was 14 years ago. I believe the original rationale was not impacting the surrounding neighbors on Sundays as far as traffic, and also allowing Sundays as a time when the neighbors could utilize the parks without having, it flooded with youth sports groups. Also a day to recover during the week for public works.
Okay, cool. Yes, 24/7 is hard to work. So a couple more questions. So I noticed that the different teams had different requests for like makeup games and things like that. Mm-hmm. Is that spread out over the field? Because I know that the cricket organization can only use a library field, right? That's the only
Sure.
one that they can use, but like other organizations have access to multiple. How does that break out in terms of that table that you shared?
I'm not sure I understand your question exactly, but the other groups, yeah, they do, because our blanket is currently a blanket permit, they can use as many sites as they would like for their tournament. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, I want to understand the demand per site. So like if one organization, what is the the neighborhood impact going to be if it's all in one spot, or is it going to be separated out for most of the other organizations?
Right. So that's what we're trying to, that's one of the reasons I think we're looking at the permit is a blanket permit. We are the only city that does a blanket permit. Other cities do charge hourly, and it does allow you to see exactly where the youth groups are and control exactly where you're scheduling them and when. And that's what we hope to come out with this policy, is that we do know exactly where they are and what's being used, and that we want to analyze our options to allow for that we're not impacting one park, hopefully every Sunday. And that is something that we are going to consider in the community outreach. We are aware that, we're not, let's go to Creekside every Sunday. That's not, we realize the impact that has on the community. And it is something we are taking into account when we analyze those options.
Okay, cool. And then the last question I have is, in terms of the community outreach component, we're at a bit of a disadvantage right now, especially because we've hit purple. So what is the, how's that gonna work? How's that gonna work? Are we tapping into like our master plan advisory board group members? How are we how?
The current plan is so kind of like DOLA and like the survey we just did for the playground themes is we would go to, we're looking at we're still in development of that outreach plan, but we're looking at going to all the residents within 1,000 feet of our fields, of each field. So that's our current outreach plan, is we need to gather all that information and get all that information out to them so that they will comment and contribute to the survey. But you're right, it is more challenging. You can't just go out to the parks and go, hey.
Yeah, I was like, that's going to be.
We can from a distance.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's it. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next, Commissioner Stanek, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, my question was along the same lines as Nisha's, but you answered it in the fact that we have these blanket permits. And I think that may be the crux of some of the issue, because my question was going to be, which fields is it going to be? Is it going to be all the fields? Is it going to be, all the time? And the blanket permits really is the thing that just opens everything up and doesn't allow us much control, it seems. And right. So to me, it seems that we need to, if we want to allow neighbors to be using the fields too, narrowing that down so that it's not just blanket permits. And so people can slot in who are not some of these specific organizations would really help us in allowing more residents to use them. I know it's more difficult probably for the youth organizations because they know when they get this blanket permit, they go, oh, we have all Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we just divvy them up between the coaches, and then they have those times whether they use them or not. Get more specific about right. when the fields are going to be used and which fields are going to be used. So I would really like to see that. I noticed there's something called, is it Triangle Youth Soccer? I'm familiar with Deanza Youth and AYSO, but I hadn't heard about Triangle.
Golden Triangle is a new organization. Yeah, it's a new organization that came around about, this may just be their second year. We're not as familiar. They are our newest organization. I don't know much about them.
Yes, they were the one that asked for the most, right?
Right.
They
Right,
were
they're the only group that
going
wasn't here.
with the gusto.
Right, they're the only group that wasn't here when we went through this whole process, I think, 14 years ago or whatever, regarding Sundays, so, yeah.
So Commissioner Stanek, one just quick thing. I think your voice comes in and out.
Yeah.
And
So I
out.
guess we really need to look at.
Sorry, your voice is coming in and out, and your video is freezing for some time. So maybe you may want to just check the connectivity, because we could hear part of it and then it
Yeah.
freezes.
No, I know it keeps. It keeps telling me my connection's unstable. Sorry about that. What can I do? I'll just try to power through it. Bear with me. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, we should. I guess we should understand. We know that we've got fewer school-age kids, and so, or if we're
Yeah, so
giving,
maybe we can use that. I mean, as part of the discussion, Commissioner Stanek, and on that particular one, you talked about the golden triangle soccer, right? I just wanted to make sure that I took a note. That's the one you talked about it, correct?
yeah, I wasn't sure of the name. It was triangle something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so if we're just expanding it, do the other leagues still need as much reserve time as they used to? And if we're getting a whole new soccer organization, what is the impact of that? I wasn't aware that we had a lot of spare field time, so it may be impacting others. And I guess we need to look at all of them and make sure we understand. And of course, the outreach to the neighbors is really important, not just to the youth organizations.
Is that all, Stanek, Commissioner Stanek? I assume so, because we cannot hear you now. So, okay, good. That's a good sign. So I'll go to the next one, Commissioner Minna, please.
I think the other two commissioner already asked some question I want to ask, and now I only have one question. So in the staff report, you mentioned the next step will collect community outreach for some policy update. I just want to know, comparing to our current policy, which area we are going to focus on updating. So we want to get community outreach to collect their opinion. Yeah, I want to know on which area of comparing to current policy.
The community outreach the community outreach would focus on the Sunday use specifically.
So that means the Sunday use about the location or the.
So we would present several options to them as different options we might be looking at for Sunday use versus what we have now, and get their opinion on that.
Okay, so there's, I just wonder if there's the types of use and maybe the rental time, it's not about those factors.
Well, it could be the Sunday use could be include the time. It could be just because we give a permit on a Sunday doesn't mean it has to be you're there all day. It could be that maybe you're only allowed to be there a half a day and you're only there from noon to 4. So it doesn't impact a community all day long. Those are options we would present to them to see if they had a preference for that too.
I just hope the outreach can be flexible so people can tell us, or they want to. Yeah, thank you.
So Paul, you're on mute.
I wanted to be clean and I just want to make a noise, but I'm completely on mute. Now you can hear me. Thanks, Jenny. And you may be thinking that why this guy is just blabbering without putting them on.
I couldn't read your lips.
I know. I thought I can test it out. Sorry. So I think you answered one of those questions at this point, which is like I had was when you say all Sundays and all, I think California Cricket Academy, Golden Triangle Soccer, and Dianza Soccer, all of them I just noted down. Everybody needs almost a majority of it. If we allow them, they will be conflicting. So that's what my question was, is there a specific time limit we are going to give it to them? And
Yeah, those.
is it
Oh, I'm
based
sorry.
on the?
I couldn't hear your second part because you broke up. I'm sorry.
No, the first one was, are we going to give them a specific time slot for each one of them so that they don't conflict? Or is the time we are going to decide based on the community outreach input?
We're looking at the preference for the youth sports groups as well as the community outreach, as well as the community's input.
Okay. The second question I have is that you said that the community outreach will go to like 1,000 feet or very close to those specific parks or the facilities. If people outside of them also will be using the park, so is there anything stopping us to go and get this input from everyone in the city? Or we have to be specific to the people who are 1,000 feet close to the park? Is there any reason why it should be just 1,000 feet? Why not?
Can I hop in on this one? Sorry. So we do not have the details finalized for our outreach. We may be mailing a postcard or some kind of notification to like a quarter of a mile from each field, and then additionally posting signage at those fields in order to, cast a wider net for feedback. But we really don't have those details fine-tuned yet.
Okay, that was, you kind of already alluded. My third question I had, is it going to be online for everyone with an information through postcard? So that's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
Is it going to be online, all these?
Yes.
Okay.
So the city is moving towards utilizing that open city hall portal.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to utilize for consistency and to kind of direct, people are getting to know about that website. And so they go there now just to see what surveys are available. So I think that would probably be our best bet as far as, capturing people that maybe don't even know about the survey.
Awesome. Great. That's all my questions. I'm sorry, Jenny. Go ahead, please.
And that's what we did for DOLA, Gopal. We went to, we sent out the postcards to the neighborhoods surrounding, but anybody could participate in the survey too. Yeah, those are all the things we're analyzing to figure out that community outreach. We want to make sure we get it right.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. That's all my questions too. So I don't see any more hands raised, and like to go for a public comment, but I don't see any attendees. So that means we can jump back onto any discussions by commissioners. Any further discussions from anyone? I see. Okay. Commissioner Nisha, you have.
I think it's really, great that we're going through this process and kind of understanding what we need to do to make this more feasible and hopefully be able to collect the community feedback we need, but also redesign the policies so it's more effective for the department. I think that's really great. One thing that I do want to flag is recognizing the availability for certain sports versus other sports, which is actually one of the reasons I'm glad it's not going to be this blanket policy, because some sports like cricket, for example, we haven't done anything yet as a commission or as a department to give them additional space. They only have one field, but baseball and soccer, they have multiple fields. They have fields all over the city. So I just want to flag that, hey, there are some sports that don't have another option. So in terms of, hey, we can be good about distribution, but if there's nowhere else for them to go, then it's kind of it puts them at a disadvantage. And I would just want for that to be taken into consideration in the process. But I'm really glad that this is coming back on, on the radar, and we're working on this. And I know that COVID puts a little bit of it makes things a little bit more difficult than it otherwise would have been, but that's really exciting. And the last thing is, with that in mind, I'm being able to make sure that the park is available for just the average community member is going to be really important, because that's kind of all people can do right now. And we are, just given the demographic of our city with a lot of, folks 50 plus, we're going to need spaces that they can go that aren't necessarily going to be super crowded all the time and filled with a ton of people. So I'm excited to kind of see how all of this plays out. So thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Thank you. And Commissioner Stanek, it's your turn.
Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I'll try to talk fast. One of the options was to allow them to have games, to make up games on Sundays. And I think that's leaving some Sundays available for makeup games is really good because it happens. And can you hear me?
Mhm.
Let's try again. Okay, and that is really disruptive to a league when a couple of games get rained out, and so they do want to reschedule them, and it gets very difficult. If they had that flexibility on Sundays, if they could do that, that helps them a whole lot. And if we go ahead and already schedule them, then that's not an option for them. So I just wanted to make sure you keep that in mind as we go through this. And yeah, that was about it.
Great, thank you. I don't see any more further discussion on it. That's great. Jenny, one thing I just wanted to make sure, it talks about next steps. So that means you will get back to us later on the outreach and all other areas based on the feedback. Is that going to be the next step?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Really appreciate your time. And I know, even though we missed last time, but thanks for making it. It's
Sure.
good.
Thank you again for postponing.
No problem. Appreciate
Can I
it.
just add one more side note really quick? I just want to bring to light the fact that staff are really working hard to find options that will be suitable for the youth sports organizations at the same time as being well received and acceptable for the community. So it's a really hard line to walk. And so that's why we're taking our time to try and get it right, because this policy is really old. So there's a lot of things that we need to update. And so we appreciate you understanding how long it's taking us to kind of get our ducks in a row. But I just wanted to let you know we are taking all the entities and stakeholders into consideration and what we will bring forward as options.
Definitely. A 14-year-old policy getting updated is not an easy job. So thank you. And I know going through all the revisions. Appreciate it, Jenny and the staff. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Excellent. So with that, we are going to the oral communications. I'm looking at it. Attendees list, I don't see anyone. So we can just move on to the next one, which is the written communications. And hello, Whitney, do we have any written communications?
No written communications for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. And also, we didn't want to talk any old business because we didn't carry much. So we are just jumping onto the new business. Item number 4. This is the status of the fiscal year 2021 work program and the first quarter budget. And the main thing is to receive the report of this fiscal year 2020 and 21 work program and the first quarter budget. And I think a lot of fun things are awaiting. Everybody's waiting for it. So Dr. Joanna and staff, please take it on.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So we are here tonight to talk about the work program and budget update, and I will share my screen in a moment. I just wanted to let everybody know, Whitney Zeller, our administrative assistant, and Kevin Koo, our management analyst, have worked very hard and diligently on both the work program item and the budget item. And what we're going to do is Whitney and I are going to switch off during this presentation. So it may not go super smoothly. I just want to alert you to that. So I'm going to start sharing my PowerPoint, and then I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to walk you through the demonstration of the actual website. That's when Whitney will share her screen. And then we'll go back to the PowerPoint to kind of move through the other items that are not on the dashboard. So I will share my screen now. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so tonight's agenda, we will provide an update on the Commission's current work program. We will review the city's new dashboard and provide a demonstration of the city's current fiscal year work program items. And we will review the extended items from fiscal year 1920, and then also provide information regarding the state of the trails. And then finally, we'll provide a first quarter budget update. The city recently launched a public dashboard for the fiscal year 2021 city work program to provide progress updates for the city council, commissions, and the public. The dashboard will be updated quarterly and is hosted on the city's website. under the City Council program link under the City Work Program page. 4 of the 7 fiscal year 2021 Parks and Recreation Commission Work Program items can be found on the new dashboard and will be reviewed in the dashboard demonstration. The athletic field use policy item and the community gardens item were extended to the Commission's current work program from the previous year's work program and therefore are not included on the new dashboard. Additionally, the Commission added the State of the Trails item to their work program, which is also not included on the dashboard. The status of these 3 items will be reviewed after the dashboard demonstration. So this is an example of the project details shown for each item included in the dashboard. It includes a project goal, budget allocated or used if applicable, milestones, and projected deadlines. We'll now move on to the demonstration. So Whitney, can you pull up the website so that we can show them?
It worked.
Yay, Whitney's really good, that's why. Okay, so I'm sorry, Whitney, would you mind going back to the homepage for the city and so that we can actually show them exactly where to click through?
Sure. So I did exit out of it because it creates its own thing, but it is if you go, actually, I cannot. Are you from the web page?
Okay, then just go, okay. So under our city on the right.
Move you guys over real quick. Okay.
And then if you go to city council on the left.
Sorry, I'm trying to scoot you guys around also. There we go.
Sorry, it's just helpful if I show you exactly how to get to it. It was for me anyway. And then under the sidebar, it says City Work Program. And if you click on City Work Program, it will bring you to the dashboard for all, says click here for full screen. It will show you all the City Council's current work program items. And so that's what we wanted to walk you through for our specific department. So all of them will come up here. You can look at the progress of any of the items. So going back to, you can search by different statuses on the top right corner. So there's project status, whether it's complete or in progress. You can go to project department, and that's where we would have you click on Park and Recreation. And then there's also the project category, which shows the different, which we're on Parks and Rec right now. So it's public engagement and quality of life, but you can search in multiple different ways. So pulling up Parks and Recreation is the easiest way to find our specific projects. And then as you can see, there's Blackberry Farm Golf Course Needs Assessment, the DOLA, the Strategic Plan, Policies on Nonprofit Support, and Rancho Rinconada. So if you click on, for example, the DOLA project, it will come up showing, yeah, see details. It will come up showing you all the different tasks associated and the status of those tasks. Now, each project doesn't necessarily have to have the same tasks, and they created categories that we're all supposed to utilize. So some of them don't always make the most sense, but that's where we're trying to put information based on those categories. So for the DOLA, we have research, outreach, execution phase, and closing processes. So then it'll show on the status, whether it's complete, in progress, or future. And then there's usually a brief description in the milestone update. And just to let you know, there is a certain number of characters you're allowed to use. So we have to be very concise about what we say in these areas. And then we give a task start and finish time frame associated. And then it will generate a % complete. And again, just to reiterate, staff are being asked to provide updates for these categories quarterly. So we do it at once every three months. And then it gets pushed out so that people will know the latest on all the projects. So hopefully we'll be able to go back to me sharing the screen. Okay, let's try this and see how smooth we are. Okay, are you back? Okay, awesome. Wow, that went way better than I thought. Okay, so Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to walk through all of the items on the city work program that we can review in detail. So the first item on the commission's fiscal year 2021 work program is the Blackberry Farm Golf Course Needs Assessment. So the item's objective is to determine short and long-term improvements to the golf course and amenities. So progress to date on this item includes the following. So Public Works engaged the consultant who completed the 2016 analysis to perform a revised needs assessment of the golf course. Staff performed research on local, similarly sized municipal golf courses. The scope of work is currently being updated to provide to the consultant. Next steps are to execute a contract for the feasibility study, present the consultant's draft study to the city for review and feedback, facilitate community outreach, and then resubmit the needs assessment for approval and adoption to the city council. And the expected completion date is in August of 2021. So the second item on the commission's work program is the dog off leash area, or DOLA. The project objective is to identify additional areas suitable for permitting dogs to be off leash and establish other areas if the current trial period is successful. So progress to date on the DOLA includes the initial comparative analysis of neighboring cities with DOLAs, surveying neighborhood residents prior to implementing the Jollyman DOLA trial, and I'm sorry, my mouth is not working like my brain today. Initiating the Jollyman DOLA trial and extending the end date to June 30th, 2021, or until sufficient data is collected for the coexistence of youth sports groups and the DOLA. Next steps are to complete research at other potential locations for DOLAs in the city, present the results to the Park and Rec Commission, and to present trial results and recommended additional sites to the City Council. The next item is the Parks and Rec Department's strategic plan. And the objective is to complete a strategic plan that addresses the immediate and short-term opportunities identified in the master plan. Progress to date includes engaging with Public Works and the Commission to identify ongoing routine park improvements that contribute to strategic plan goals. Research performed on all 18 parks to address potential amenity improvements. A review of the tot lot playground equipment at Creekside and Berrien Parks for possible replacement, focusing on themed equipment, and utilizing the Park and Rec System Master Plan to guide prioritization of amenity improvements and gathering feedback from staff and stakeholders on playground replacement options. Next steps are to finalize prioritization plans for park amenity improvements and playground replacements, to submit those plans to the city's capital improvement program for implementation this fiscal year, and provide prioritization for future projects in the upcoming fiscal years. The next item on the work program is Rancho Rinconada. The objective for this item is to begin operation of aquatics programs and facility rentals if Rancho Rinconada is absorbed by the city. Progress on this item include the following. So LAFCO completed the study of the 3 future options for Rancho and provided the report to staff to review. City Council reviewed LAFCO's report and recommended options 1 and 2 for consideration. The city surveyed Rancho Rinconada residents with 50 households responding with 65% in support of the merger. The Parks and Recreation Commission recommended the merger option. Staff are currently performing additional outreach, preparing the application to LAFCO, including a detailed operations plan to ensure status quo or improved level of services. City Council will review the application for approval. The next steps are to submit the merger application to LAFCO for the board's review, pursue the annexation of Rancho Rinconada into the city pending approval of the application, and then have the city take ownership of Rancho, finalizing operations of the site. The following projects were carried over from the previous fiscal year and delayed due to COVID. The first project is use of the athletic fields and parks, which involves reviewing the field use policy, scheduling process, fee schedule, Sunday use feasibility, and program cost recovery. The project also includes reviewing fields for DOLA use, such as the current trial at Jollyman. Progress to date on the use of the athletic fields and parks includes gathering field use information from surrounding cities, the first draft of the revised policy, outreach performed to the youth sports organizations and local cities regarding Sunday use, and presentations made to the commission on the project status. The second project carried over is the renovation of the community gardens at McClellan Ranch, which includes implementing a new process and procedure to improve the program overall. This project also includes exploring other satellite garden sites at other parks in Cupertino. Progress to date includes the closure and dismantling of the original gardens, beginning the construction of the new gardens, and then finalization of the revised bed fees, term, and assignment process. Volunteer efforts are pending due to the COVID restrictions. The final project is the state of the trails. Currently, there are 4 trails in progress, including the Lawrence Mitty property, the Linda Vista Trail, the Regnart Creek Trail, and the Junipero Serra Trail. Progress to date is different for each of the trails mentioned above. Some general highlights include Lawrence Mitty property was purchased on September 2020. Currently, our staff are working on the annexation process. The goal is to extend the Saratoga Creek Trail. The Linda Vista Trail has approved funding for construction. Approved funding for construction was approved by council in November. The trail will link the McClellan Ranch Preserve to Linda Vista Park. Construction is estimated to start either in December or January and be completed by May of 2021. Regnart Creek Trail, this project is prepared to go out for bidding. Council has authorized proceeding with construction as long as bids are within budget. And the Junipero Serra Trail is still in the initial stages. The trail would extend from Dianza Boulevard eastward to Calabasas Creek at Valco Parkway. Okay, so the next 2 slides are intended to provide you an overview of the first quarter budget for Parks and Recreation Department. So the chart above is a summary comparing the actual revenues to the adopted budget for the fiscal year 2021 up until September 30th. The department has taken in about 22% of projected revenue for the current fiscal year. Using 25% as a baseline comparison, the reductions in revenue are due to the following. Due to COVID, all indoor and outdoor rentals have been closed. There have also been a reduced number of programs, classes, and camp offerings. However, the reductions are being offset by increased revenues at the Sports Center and the Blackberry Farm Golf Course, due to tennis and golf being one of the few activities allowed during this shelter in place. However, looking at the department's expenses, we're only at about 16% compared to the overall budget. So again, using the 25% as a baseline comparison, the savings are attributed to the following. We currently have 4 vacant full-time employee positions, including the assistant director, recreation supervisor, recreation coordinator, and a case manager. We also have a reduced cost for part-time salaries, materials, and contract services, from building closures, cancellation of all summer events, including the 4th of July, reduced programs offered. Staff will continue to monitor both revenue and expense levels and is constantly adapting to provide recreational opportunities to residents as restrictions change. So that is it in a nutshell. I'll stop my screen share, but I'm happy to bring the PowerPoint up for anybody's review at any time if you have questions and you need me to pull it back up.
Wow, a lot to really comprehend and then just ask, but hopefully we were actively taking notes, I believe. So let's start with clarifying questions. And I see Commissioner Stanek, you're the first one raised it. Please go ahead.
Okay, that's a lot of stuff there. So thank you very much. I was on the timelines as they went through. Are those part of the dashboard, or was that just part of your presentation?
So it's hard because some of it's reflected in the dashboard and some of it is just part of the things that we had done through our Parks and Recreation Department, our meetings. So we were trying to give you a little bit more where we could as far as updates. But The thing about the dashboard, let me explain.
Okay, so
Let me explain the dashboard real quick. All of this information is in the dashboard, but it's not all visible. So staff can see it on our end, but you can't all see it on your end. So.
okay, so the one that jumped out at me, and there may have been questions on other ones that I wasn't focused on. So if you bring up the Rancho Rinconada timeline, some of the dates are messed up because it talked about where council is already asked to go forward with option 1 and 2, and it had a date of 2021. And so then it all got messed up from there, and it was very confusing.
Okay.
So I don't know if I started focusing on that on later slides. And one suggestion would be, what I see is on some of them, and if it's just a presentation thing for tonight, it's not a big deal, but some of them you had a month and a year, and then other things you had a date and the month, and it got very confusing in there. So that's just a presentation thing, but in the Rancho Rinconada one, it was definitely, there were some errors, and I just want to make sure that if you use this again, that gets clarified. Can you bring that one up?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. Let me.
Yeah, it says all 2021, even though a lot of things were passed. I thought it was 2020.
We threw these together quickly and probably didn't realize that the dates were incorrect. So thank you for pointing that out. But we threw this together to provide additional information in the slideshow from the actual dashboard. So they're correct in the dashboard.
Okay, so having said that, I'm trying to figure out when does it actually move? Which things are 2020 and which are 2021? So should us all be 2020? No, it can't be.
So the first item is February of 2020. Then city council reviewed. We probably used a timeline from something else, copied and pasted it in here, and then put the items above and below. So that's completely our mistake, Carol. But go ahead, Whitney.
I was going to say, so I went through this together, and I did realize I put 2021 on accident. This is taken straight from the dashboard, but I had to select either the start date or the end date for each of the items listed, because on the dashboard it does have a range, where these other items, they're just specific dates. So I chose the end date for each of those. So they might be in progress sooner than 2021, but this is the expected end date starting, I believe, from the July 2021 item.
Okay, because that second one, certainly, that's already happened. So that's done in 2020. Yes.
Correct.
And then where do we go on? So the next thing is that should be completed by July of 2021, and then we take it from there.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, that's
okay,
correct.
So there's a lot of things. It seems that maybe there's some intermediate steps that aren't shown here that the commission's going to need to be involved with, that level of detail is not being presented here.
Correct.
Because there's a big gap in there between now and July of next year.
Correct. There's a lot of work to do, actually, to prepare the application and get the information together for business operations, assessment of the facility. So there's a lot of work to be done. And so we're still working on getting all of those details of what we need to do together.
Yeah, so some of this, I was hoping that we could get a sense of when these things would be coming to the commission, and it's difficult to see from this. And for some of the other items too. So that's one general comment is one of the things that I'm looking for is what are the deadlines for the commission, and what are the timeframes that the commission be thinking about items. And maybe we can be looking at that in a different way when we get to the future agenda items portion of the agenda today. But so that's part of what I was looking for here, and so it was definitely confusing.
Sorry, that's good feedback. I totally get what you're saying. We'll make sure next time we have to tee this up, we'll make sure to make more of a concerted effort.
Okay, so yeah, I got distracted by that. So sorry, I'm not sure I have other questions.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. Thanks, Commissioner Stanek. And next one, I have Commissioner Nisha.
Hey, so this is really awesome. Last week, we had that meeting with staff, and this was basically the feedback from a lot of commissioners saying that they wanted this dashboard and they wanted something to regularly check the status of all the projects. So it was really cool to see like 1 week later. So I guess kind of my question is echoing a little bit of what Commissioner Stanek had mentioned, which was there are some significant things that the commission is responsible for. Is that going to be included going forward?
Yeah, we'll note that. I apologize. This is kind of our first run through, and we were supposed to have more time to work on this today. And because of the new orders, we just didn't have the time that we wanted to devote. So my apologies.
It's definitely new systems always take some time to integrate. So yeah, that would be really great. And then the other question I have is around the way that projects are broken down. So I understand that the categories are preset, which is good. It creates standardization, but is it possible to create duplicates in those categories, or can you only have like one point of execution, one point of, planning, or is that, yeah, that's my question. Can you only have one of each, or can you duplicate?
So, again, this is because it's a new process for us. We, had to get all the information in by a certain deadline. And I think by the next time we have to submit the information, we'll have a better idea of how to better list the information that we're trying to put in. So Kevin actually was in charge of this for our department. It was a ton of work. It's like an Excel spreadsheet that will make your head come clean off. And again, it's restricted character use and all these different, things that it doesn't or does allow you to do. So it's good information for us to have, but I think that as we start to go through, we might start to have a better understanding of how it works and how to best maximize it.
Great. And then, yeah, like I said, I know that the stuff takes some time to get in, and I think that what is it called when it's the initial setup time might be labor intensive, but I think the long term is going to be pretty significant. Are we planning on including subcommittee deadlines in there as well?
We can certainly do that. We were trying to just get this item to you as quickly as possible, but we can certainly add that to the things, the deadlines for commissioners as part of the additional updates, any subcommittee deadlines too.
And then the final question I have is around, hold on, I'm just like looking at it on my other screen, is around the, oh, okay. No, never mind. That was asked before. Okay, cool. That's it. That's it for my questions for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's go for Commissioner Mina. You have some questions.
Yeah. So this update of website looks great. Yeah, I really love the design. It's really straightforward and clear. Yeah, that can deliver information, can benefit residents. I like it very much. Thank you. And for the Rancho Rinconada timeline, yeah, I also have some question. I attended their Zoom meeting as a resident last month, and I remember in their board meeting, they said if their board disagree with merge, maybe they could. So this case may be dragged into some lawsuit or something. But from our timeline, it looks like the LifeCo can make decision for the Rancho Rinconada special district. So I just want to know, is there possible, if they strongly oppose it, would there be some lawsuit or some trouble, the transition maybe not so smooth? Is that possible? That's my question.
I think anything is possible, but I don't have an answer to that question.
Okay, got it.
It definitely is a complicated process though.
Yeah.
It's not as straightforward and easy as the city makes a decision and then it just, there's a lot involved with the application process and having both council approve it, LAFCO approve it. So it's a very involved process.
Okay, got it. And there's another question. So for this new design of the website new design, so if we are going to have new project, we'll just add new tab to it. Is that right? So people can see all this.
So my understanding as far as, and don't quote me on this, but my understanding is when the new fiscal year work program comes around, those new items will be on the dashboard. I don't actually know how they are going to handle, because they didn't carry forward the last year's work program items. They just had to start with this year's. So I don't know what the intention is if items are left on to carry forward. So I can't answer that question, but any of the new work program items that are approved for fiscal year 21-22, holy cow, those will be new tabs eventually.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Great. No more questions. I do have a couple of questions. Number one, again, you said that it's a quarterly update. It'll be, but sometimes you will have those project may have another status coming in between. So that means still the staff will be able to update it intermittently as well.
Yes.
Not necessarily that's quarterly, right? I
Correct.
just want to make sure it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, anything that would be happening on any of these items in between the quarterly updates would certainly be brought to you. But it would be helpful if you knew when those were happening. And so we will make sure to incorporate those in the future presentation.
Yeah, great. And the second question, which I think you already kind of answered, the inputs, I mean, most of these projects comes to the commission to get reviewed, and it takes 2 cycles, at least 2 months, 3 months kind of. So I think hopefully that will get added as well, which I think you already answered, right? That will get added in future in the update of the dashboard, I hope. Okay. And first of all, yeah, the other one, other commissioner said the transparency is coming out beautifully well. So everyone, any citizen can go and look into it, right? On the details on what's spent and whatnot. So this is great. I really love the dashboard, and that's what we were looking for. The last question I had on that one, on the community garden dashboard one, it says budget is 50, but the spent is 125K something, still left over 49 point something. So it's kind of, I couldn't get what that is. If you could just check it out.
Are you talking about the golf feasibility?
Not the golf, I think it's the
gardens shouldn't be on there.
Community gardens or whatever it is, a 49, 124, I just noted down. And 50, 124, and 40. If you could just go to that, your slide, it should be the first slide, I believe.
I think it's on the actual dashboard, right? Oh yeah, 50K, okay. So that is the total, hold on, let me get.
I'm trying to get which one it is. Yeah, it says Black Freeform, correct. It says 50K budget expended is 125K, and budget remaining is 49.87K. I'm not sure, how do I read that?
Okay, so on the top, it says 5 projects. So that's the total budget for all of 5 of our projects. So if you were to click on the golf course feasibility needs assessment, that budget item is actually for the $50,000. That's the only item we have that has budget assigned to it. And $125 has been used of staff time for that. Has been, and so it still has 49,000, 8,700 and some odd dollars left on that budget.
Wow. Okay. I thought it was very minimal because a lot of progress made it, and I said, why just $125? But looks like that
money is mostly for the consultant.
I see.
They have not signed the contract with the consultant yet.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was confused what that was. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome. Let's see, is there any public comment? No more clarification questions, and I don't see any attendees on it. So we don't have any public comments. So let's go for any discussions by the commissioners. Any open discussions? Commissioner wants to. Commissioner Nisha, you're on.
Sorry, I'm having a little bit of internet trouble too, so I'm just pausing my video when I can so I can hear everyone. I think it would be really great. Again, I know that this is a very new process and it's going to take some time, I think, across the board for everyone, even ourselves, to get acclimatized to it. I think it would be good to maybe like next month, or well, maybe not January, but like February, in a couple of months, so there's some time for us to settle in, for us to create a best practices for our department, for our commission, in terms of what we would like to see incorporated from the commission side. And just because there's like some things in the strategic plan, for example, where it was like, oh, a review of all 18 parks. Well, that was the commission that did that. And I want it to be very like clear kind of what is being done where, so that we have a better understanding of things like timeline. So as somebody else looks at it, they don't think, oh, well, the entire 18 park review has been completed, because it hasn't. And so I just want to make sure that we kind of have that best practices. And again, it doesn't really make sense to do that right now, or really even in January, just given the timeline. So probably bringing that back in February, if possible, would be really great. And that way we can see that, make sure that it's not like every time you present this to us, we're like, well, what if you added this? And what if you added this? It's like, we just have a very clear set of expectations. And I think that might make things smoother in the future. So bringing that back in February would be great. I am obsessed with this. I love having a comprehensive dashboard that I can point people to. So when they're asking me questions, I can be like, hey, like, you don't just need to ask me, you can like, go look at this. And, I won't have people coming up to me and being like, I heard you're building 5 buildings in Memorial Park. And it's like, don't know where you heard that, but that's literally not true. And having a place to go. So thank you. This is great. And a big kudos to Kevin. Hi, Kevin, we miss you. And Whitney, great job. I think this is, like I said, I've worked with big data processes and moving them over, and it is not an easy task, and it'll take time, but I promise it'll be really worth it. And hopefully we will make your lives a little bit easier once we have all this information available as well. So thank you. This is really great.
That's a great idea. I think that's a great idea to get the standardized, what do we want to see? How do we want it formatted?
Great, thank you. And let's see, no more discussion on it, but I do have a few points, and I would just kind of echo what Commissioner Tombe said, the same thing. It's kind of a template we call at work, right? So the moment we have a template for every project, it should have like these must-have items, like 1 to 10 kind of, that's all the milestones. If we define those milestones clearly, by default, we can just go and look into it. And then we should be able to inject anything in between, but I think we know standard that this is how it happens for every project. These are the steps, milestones happens, kind of, will be good. The other thing is that I don't know, maybe I missed it. Did we have a consolidated view as well? I know these are this dashboard. If I go on to click on each one, it gives it, but maybe I missed it. There is a consolidated view. First starts with saying that these are all the projects in a high level. These are the budget spent. These are the overall percentage progress, kind of. If it is there, maybe I definitely missed it when.
For the city work program or for the commission's work program?
No, for all in general, city, anything which gets into the dashboard. It could be city or it could be commission driven, whatever. All things we should have a consolidated view at the home page, kind of.
So right now, the only work program items that are on the dashboard are the city work program items. They do not have commission work program items that are not adopted for the city work program on the dashboard currently. That doesn't mean that it won't ever happen. It just is, we're taking baby steps. But I really also want to just give a kudos out to IT, because they really worked very hard to get this implemented and train the staff and coordinate with the budget information coming over in addition to the updates that we're providing. So it all is talking to each other. So, but yes, it's only city work program right now.
Great, and I think with that, maybe it'll be good, as Commissioner Tombe said, you can come back in February or whatever to give a further update. But I would also think there is an opportunity for us to have a discussion with the Kevin and the team when they do this dashboard building up, and just to get ideas, okay, what other things they want to see, kind of. It'll be good to have it so that they can take all the inputs and then they come up with whatever is possible to incorporate. Especially, for example, building this dashboard is not an easy job at all, because we need to consolidate all the data. And we go through it at work. So absolutely, I really appreciate and applaud the team who put together so quickly on it. And because it's all data, and the moment the data gets in and how you present it, it's a lot of work. And it'll be good to have, as Commissioner Tombe said, instead of giving you bits and pieces of information, once you define that milestone and template, whatnot, it'll be good to have a session so that we can provide more inputs with whoever is building it. If Kevin is the one building the dashboard, session on it, okay, we can just walk through how the dashboard is being built and what are the milestones get incorporated. And we will have an opportunity just to provide some more inputs, because it is really, because we all used it. Like Commissioner Tompe said, I use it every day, at least at work, for many things. And we know what really helps, what really makes a decision to go faster. So absolutely, we would love to, and I would love to provide more insight in feedback so that it can be improved.
Well, and that's what we're hoping. I mean, from a staff point of view, we think we know more about what we're saying than how it's being received. So I think that if you all have any kind of feedback about how things are being stated, or what would make more sense, certainly let us know, because that's what we're looking for. Because if the information is not coming across in the intended way to provide the update, then we're not doing our job. So we definitely need to make changes if it's not right.
Yeah, no, I think at this point, nothing wrong. It's beautiful. With nothing we had, and with this level of it, it's a huge shift of seeing what it is. And so really appreciate all the work. Thank you. Thanks for all the folks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Worked on it. Yeah, thank you, Kevin. So with that, there's no more discussions and there's no specific action except that you got our feedback, and then maybe we'll hear back from you in a couple of months. With that, we will move on to item number 5. It's about community feedback regarding the playground equipment replacement options for Creekside Park as well as Variant Park tot lots. And the recommended action is just to receive the inputs and the replacement options. That's all I think is a staff report, right?
Right. So we have Rochelle. Sorry. We have Rochelle Sander here, who is our recreation supervisor, to provide the PowerPoint, and I am going to share my screen.
Excellent.
And here we go. Okay.
All right, so I'm back. This time we get to talk about playgrounds. So I'm here to provide you an update on the community feedback regarding Creekside and Varian Park tot lot equipment replacement. It's a lot of words. The agenda tonight is a background on the project, the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan, community engagement, community feedback, and your recommended action. The annual playground equipment replacement project was established in the fiscal year 2021 under the Capital Improvement Program. The estimated cost being $1.5 million over 5 years, so $300,000 annually. The purpose of the project is to address the replacement of older playground equipment that is dated and worn, starting with Creekside Park and Varian Park's 2 to 5-year-old tot lots. In alignment with the Parks and Recreation System Master Plan, staff researched options for themed playground equipment. To engage the community on the playground equipment theme options, a survey was conducted. Signs were posted at Creekside and Varian Parks on Friday, November 6th, with information about the playground equipment replacement survey. Postcards were mailed to over 1,800 homes within a quarter mile of both Creekside and Varian Parks. The survey went live through the Open City Hall webpage beginning on Friday, November 6th, and closed on Friday, December 4th. The public was provided 2 themes per park to vote on. Creekside Park was a sports or creek theme, and Varian Park was a farm or nature theme. The postcard you see here was mailed to over 1,800 homes with translation in English and simplified Chinese. The survey closed Friday, December 4th with 94 total respondents, 85 of those being Cupertino residents. The breakdown of park neighbors was Creekside Park had 32 neighbors respond, while Varian Park had 42 neighbors respond. The themes surveyed for Creekside Park were a sports theme and a creek theme, with these two photos depicting possible playground equipment. The breakdown of the Creekside Park tot lot with all respondents has the creek theme rated highest with 52 and the sports theme with 42. In sorting out the respondents to just the Creekside neighbors, the Creekside theme still came out ahead with 18 and the sports theme with 14. The themes surveyed for Varian Park were a farm theme and a nature theme, with these two photos depicting possible playground equipment. The breakdown of the Varian Park tot lot with all respondents has the nature theme rated highest with 56 and the farm theme with 38. In sorting out the respondents to just the Varian neighbors, the nature theme still came out ahead with 26 and the farm theme with 16. The recommended action is to receive an update on community feedback regarding playground equipment replacement options for Creekside Park and Varian Park tot lots. At this time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. All the themes are really good. I don't know which one I will choose. I'll choose all of them. With that, so let's go for a clarifying questions from commissioners. Commissioner Tompe, you have one.
I love this. It's really exciting and also needed. So I guess I have a couple questions. The first is, how long from when we make the decision of, yes, this is what we want to do and what we go forward with, will this actually be implemented in terms of renovating the play structure?
That's a fabulous question. And I would say that a lot of it is going to actually depend on COVID and where we are with all of this, not to mention researching what great things we can get with the amount of money we have between the two parks.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking if, during Purple, we can't have people on playgrounds anyways. So I was like, oh, this would be great to just break everything down and put it in, but I understand time frame.
If possible, fingers crossed.
So back when I was chair, I had actually attended a couple of the staff meetings. And I remember, and I'm forgetting the gentleman's name, but he was saying, we had talked about the all-inclusive playground, and he was talking about how he was really passionate about bringing all-inclusive all-inclusive play elements into different parks, not just centralizing it to Jollyman Park. So how does that fit into these themes, and how will that fit into what we actually plan on selecting?
So a couple of the pictures did depict some inclusive play options. And so our goal would be to do, any of that we are able to. However, again, it comes down to money and what we're able to replace and what we're able to get. But that is the goal that was in the master plan. And so we do have that on our list of things to pay attention to.
Awesome. And then for the future, when we're looking at other parks and other playgrounds, are there any, I know that play structure themes are not necessarily super diverse in terms of what options we have. But I'm wondering, is there any kind of around the world type of, play structure for a future event, something that kind of brings together the different diversity that is, really reflected in the citizens of Cupertino?
I think that's definitely something we could look into. When I started looking into this a couple months ago, I was actually surprised with how much is out there in the way of being able to pick different pieces and put them all together versus just one big structure. So I definitely think it's something we could look into.
Awesome. And then I guess kind of a follow-up to that is, how did we decide on, the farm being one of the options? I'm just curious as to what the mentality was behind that, because nature is really cool. I like that. People need to try and get into that a little bit more, but I'm just curious how those options were presented.
Yeah, so we had staff do a lot of research behind those two, but they did also have to do with what those parks are about, whether it be the history of the park or what happens the most at those parks. So obviously Creekside Park, creek theme.
Yeah.
Sports are huge there, so sports theme. Varian used to be an orchard. It still has a lot of the orchard trees, so farm and nature just kind of made a lot of sense. So that's really how they all kind of fell out in the end. But we did research a number of different things.
Awesome. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And I don't see any more clarification questions. And I have only one question to you, Rachel. Is that based on the decisions, we are going based on the survey results, and that's what that we are going to have a decision, right? And will that be communicated back to the community? Because we decided based on the survey results, correct?
Yeah, so because we don't really have to think about it too much, because not only the neighbors, but the main people all voted on the same things. Yeah, the survey results are pretty much, I mean, unless we run into any kind of hiccup, which you never know with any project, but that is the goal at this time.
Awesome, great. That's all. And the second question was, you said we spent $300K for equipment replacements across all parks. So what is the budget allocated for these two? Is it any?
The 300K is for these two this year.
These two this year, okay. And follow-up question is that if this is this year, and I know it is 20, and if we cannot implement anything through COVID situation, will this carry forward for the next year as well, I assume, correct?
Yeah, the money won't disappear. The 1.5, even though it's over 5 years, it'll continue to go with us for how long this takes.
Awesome, thank you. And okay, I thought there was a question, so no, it's not, okay. But that, let's see whether any public comments. I don't see anyone there, so there's no public comments. And is there any discussions by commissioners? Yep, couple of, okay, Commissioner Stanek, you go first, please.
Okay, thanks. One of the feedback items that we got during the master plan when we talked about play equipment was that it looked very natural. And I think in the themes, you're seeing that get picked up. And in the pictures that I saw, some of them, even though they were nature themes, they had very bright colors, which is not exactly what people were thinking about when they were giving us feedback about nature themes. They wanted things that really looked like nature so that children would understand that tree logs are something that you could climb on and that nature is, you know, part of our environment and it should be appreciated. And so things that really look like natural things that you would find in nature was something that was part of the feedback that we received. So I hope we're going to be looking at various pieces of equipment that will harken back to that feedback that we had received in the master plan. So I guess as part of that, will we see what you end up choosing? Will that come back to the commission later? Is that something that we'll have input on, or is that something that staff is going to decide? How is that going to work?
I'm going to throw that question to Joanne.
So, you know, we're a little late in the game this year, especially we wanted to get community feedback about the themes prior to making a recommendation on how to proceed. But I don't think that we'll have enough time to get additional input on actual items. I think we're going to make this recommendation to the CIP team and see what they can get as quickly as possible so that we can have, you know, something installed. And then the great part is that we're doing the larger, older play areas for those parks specifically with the same theme. So we may have more time to get your input on the actual items that are installed at the larger, older kid areas, play areas for next year. So this year we're just trying to move things along as quickly as we can. But because I wasn't here, I have a question actually, Carol, because you always have such good historical information. Ooh, sorry.
You're choosing the equipment.
You broke up.
Sorry, yeah. Can you repeat, Commissioner Stanek? No, I think we cannot hear you, Commissioner Stanek, at this point.
I couldn't hear the question from Joanne.
Oh, sorry. So I was wondering, was that feedback that you got from the community specific to nature play, like incorporating nature play? Because some of the playgrounds that I've gone out to with the, you know, more natural looking play structures are quite dull looking actually, and are not really, in my opinion, enticing play areas. So like if you look at the nature theme and they have the flowers, I would assume that we would want the flowers to be bright because that's how they actually
yeah,
are.
I understand. They don't have the bright colors.
I think we got some audio issue, Commissioner.
Yeah, I think if you look, okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If you look at the play area at the Main Street Little Park, that was like the last one that we did, and it's very natural colored tones. And maybe Nisha can jump in there and give some more feedback on that.
Okay. Anyway, Commissioner Nisha is next one, so I'm just going to let Nisha go ahead.
Cool. So I do recall that. Now, honestly, I didn't remember until you mentioned it, but that was one of the things that a lot of people were asking for, was nature play elements incorporated into the broader play structure. So not just having the traditional playground incorporated, but like really adding those nature play elements and also making it look a little bit less like you walk into a park and there's like a neon colored slide. Just like from an aesthetics point of view, I think people were having a little bit of an eye shock with that. Like it looked like it should be in a I think one of the comments was like, we don't want like what would be in a kindergarten school to be what's in our parks. Like it should be something that can still be visible. This is like in the, like when we were going through the depth of the master plan, this was kind of like some of the stuff we came out with. So in addition to that, I also wonder if there's a way that we can incorporate adult fitness equipment into that, or not necessarily in the play structure itself, but finding other ways that we can engage them depending on, you know, of course, budget is a really big thing and we only have so much money to do so much with. So just seeing if there's any way that we can kind of incorporate that into the process. And then the last part is I do want to make sure that while we are, I know that Commissioner Gopal was talking about the all-inclusive play structure, the amount we have with that. I really would love to see that built in my last year here. But it would be, I also want to make sure that we are using all of the funds that we have set for this year and really exhausting that by the end of the fiscal year, primarily because, you know, just thinking about the new city council and the council members there, I have a feeling that they're really going to look at that bottom line of, did you actually use those funds? And so it makes me nervous for us to have a lot of money sitting and not being used. I want them to see like, oh, wow, we've zeroed out this account. Like this is such a necessity for the community. So if there's anything that we can do to make sure that that process is sped up and at least like the money goes out of the account by the end of June, let us know, because I want, you know, I really do want the city council to not think, okay, well, they didn't use it last year, like nothing happened last year, so we don't need to give them as much money, because it's not enough money and it's not going to be enough to do everything we need to do and really follow through with our master plan. So please do let us know if there's anything that we can do to help kind of speed along that process. And, you know, we're always happy to do extra meetings. So just let us know.
And so, yeah, no, I agree with the, you know, that standpoint. Absolutely. And that's why I think we're trying to move this along as quickly as we can. The other hard part is we're already working on CIPs for next year. And, you know, potentially trying to come up with ideas, and it's hard to know pricing if we don't have numbers to go with what we're recommending, right? So again, we want all those elements. We want inclusive elements if we can. And so we're really, if we can't get them this year, we're definitely going to make sure we get them next year. But we're with you in trying to just move stuff along. As far as the adult fitness equipment, I think that really actually falls under the park amenity improvements. So not specifically in this area, but it's definitely something that we need to keep on our radar for park amenity improvements for sure.
Okay, great. And then the last two components are making sure that we do include the nature play. I think that is really important. I don't want that to kind of get lost in the shuffle. Also, nature play equipment is like weirdly expensive. I started looking into it when we were doing the master plan. I'm like, why is a log this expensive? Still don't get it, but sure. I do want to make sure that that's included. And then because that is actually one of the things I remember when we had gone to Magical Bridges, they said having natural play elements for people who have some tactile learning or tactile needs can't necessarily feel comfortable in plastic, and they'll feel more comfortable with natural elements. And then the last, shoot, what was the last thing I was gonna say? I don't remember, sorry.
You can come back. Wait, and we will just in the meantime, let's get Commissioner Mina to some comments. Commissioner Mina, you can go ahead.
Oh, hi. I just remember so in previous commission meeting and the council meeting, it was mentioned not only in Cupertino, but in many cities, there's not enough facility for big kids like elder than 13 years old. So maybe because the Varian Park and the Creekside Park are both big park with less facilities, so they have a more space left than other park. So I just wondering, when you build the new play structure, is it possible to think about some facility that can target the big kids elder than 13 years old? Yeah, just my suggestion. For smaller park, I know it's impossible to do that, but for these two park, we do have space. That's what I believe. Thank you.
I think that's something great for when we start looking at the bigger parks to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think let's see whether Commissioner Michelle remembered that one. If not, I can jump in with some of my comments. So mine is almost aligned with what both the Commissioner Tampe as well as Mina said, is about if this is so attractive, I'm sure the parents will come and then maybe their brothers and sisters will come and drop it off and then just want being around it, and it'll have something if they for them also to enjoy it, even if it's one or two. It'll be fun because they'll be together all the time. It could be adult or it could be teenagers and other kind of older kids. I think it'll be fun. Again, that's limited, I know it, but since we have money and if you think that we can spend on it, I just want to make sure that every community gets benefited. So that's all I had. I know Commissioner Tambe remembered that one. She's coming back.
I
Yeah.
did. Okay, so it was, we talked about this when we did the master plan, which was making sure that we're connecting with all of the other commissions as well, specifically Bike Ped and Fine Arts Commission. So Fine Arts really wanted to collaborate on actual park design and planning, and incorporating kind of some of the artistic some of the art that we have coming out of Cupertino in the actual play structures itself. They had done that at Magical Bridges. They had actually had like, you know, little toy, they had like a kitchen inside, and they had like little like croissants and pastries and stuff. And that was actually designed by somebody from their community. They were able to bring that in. And so it would be great if we could just reach out to the Fine Arts Commission and be like, hey, like, we're in the process of actually implementing this. This is the design that we're going with. We want things to be, you know, creek focused here, and we want things to be nature focused here. Are there ways that we can, you know, collaborate and kind of create that engagement? I think that would be amazing. And of course, like COVID is a little difficult to get like people involved, but I do know that they have sculptures and murals and things that can actually be like hands-on for kids to play with, that don't necessarily come from a catalog, but can be built by the people we have in our community. I remember that was like a really crucial part of our master plan process. And when we were doing all the mayor's meetings, that was like, Fine Arts was like, let us know, like when you start these playgrounds, let us know. So just connecting with them. And then for bike, in the same vein for Bike Ped, this is more for the strategic plan, so never mind. But yeah, connecting with Fine Arts for this is, I think, would be really great.
Awesome.
Maybe they can paint us a log for cheaper, Nisha.
What? It doesn't need to be $2,000. Great. I'm
Right?
done.
Why not? Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. This is awesome. And I think, as I said, this will not just make those kids happy, all of us, right? It made, at least just looking at the presentation itself, we are like colorful and all awesome. So thank you. Thanks for working together, and possibly we will see some update of the progress and how when it gets implemented maybe in the future meetings. But thank you. Really appreciate it. Awesome. So with that, I think we are going to the staff and commission reports. Item number 6. It's a monthly update report. I think maybe the first one will start with Dr. Joanne. I think you have something.
I do, and luckily we had some time to update this one today as well. Lots of changes. Anyhow, can everybody see this?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so director's update for December. Holy cow. So we the county continues to offer free COVID testing at the Cupertino Senior Center with upcoming appointments December 16th, 9:30 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. Again, more information is available at the Santa Clara County website at sccfreetest.org. So in accordance with the latest restrictions from the stay-at-home order and the purple tier, the stay-at-home order is in effect at least until January 4th, 2021. All non-essential work and activities must stop between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. So to adhere to the curfew, the sports center will now close at 9:30 p.m. on weekdays. We were open until 10 p.m. prior to that. Still closing at 8 p.m. on the weekends. All indoor programs and activities have been canceled and refunds are being issued. Gatherings with members of other households are prohibited except for outdoor gatherings for worship services or political expression with social distancing protocols. So our picnic site rentals are still allowed at Memorial, Linda Vista, and Portal Parks, but are restricted to one household. Reservations can be made online at regforrec.org. Playgrounds are now closed. Public Works has updated the signage and blocked play structures off with caution tape. Additional hand sanitizers were installed at Berrien and Hoover Park playgrounds. These playgrounds don't have restroom facilities, so we installed some hand sanitizers at those playgrounds. Field use is still allowed with the same restrictions as before, including non-contact sports only with no organized play. All fields will be closed from December 21st, 2020 to January 31st, 2021 for rest and maintenance. Basketball courts are still open and available for public use, limited to those within the same household. And then outdoor programs and activities are still allowed, but limited to 12 participants only. Under the purple tier, McClellan Ranch Preserve Environmental Education Center has closed again. Reservations for Blackberry Farm group picnic rentals are still open for the 2021 summer. Reservations can be made online by visiting regforrec.org. Due to the colder temperatures, earlier sunset, and several rainy days, participation numbers have decreased slightly. However, we still have about 1,300 people using our tennis courts and over 750 people using our golf course on a weekly basis. We continue to offer both free and fee-based exercise classes. So at the December 1st City Council meeting, Council approved 2 items: the revised part-time salary schedule in response to changes to minimum wage. So minimum wage will increase from $15 an hour to $15.65 an hour starting January 1st, 2021. The positions in our department that are affected by these changes to minimum wage include our building attendant, customer service attendant 1 and 2, recreation leader, senior recreation leader, and staff assistant. Then all recommended updates to the community funding grant policy program. So as a reminder, the updates included an earlier submission date for applications and a program funding range of $70,000 to $90,000. To confirm, the Historical Society's funding of $20,000 is not included as part of this funding range. I will provide more information during next month's meeting when the evaluation criteria will be discussed. The department is currently developing a nonprofit support website that will house 3 years worth of information, including community festival fee waivers, community funding grants, sister city funding, out of cycle funding, and in-budget funding for nonprofits. The website is anticipated to go live as part of the January 1st application process. Due to daylight savings, the golf course has adjusted its tee times, with the first tee time now starting at 7 a.m. and the last being at 3:30 p.m. The golf course will be closed Friday, December 25th, but will stay open until 3 p.m. on December 24th, 31st, and January 1st. The Sports Center will be closed on Thursday and Friday, December 24th and 25th, and Thursday and Friday, December 31st and January 1st. Cupertino residents Barbara and Dennis West donated a pine tree that was planted over at Berrien Park on Thursday, November 12th. Public Works is planting the tree in the picture. Due to the COVID restrictions, volunteer efforts for the McClellan Ranch Community Garden are currently on hold. Staff will reevaluate options for volunteer efforts closer to the end of the construction period. So the following slides cover updates to team programs. The city hosted the second webinar of the Infantino Financial Preparedness Series on Sunday, November 15th. This webinar featured professionals from Key Point Credit Union, focusing on credit scores, why it matters, how to build good credit, and how to protect personal credit. Over 50 teens and parents registered for the program. The final webinar of the series will be held on Sunday, January 24th at 1 p.m. The subject will be making good money decisions. On Friday, November 20th, the Cupertino Teen Commission and Youth Activity Board participated in the first virtual Youth Activity Council social event. Brings youth and teen commissioners together from across the Bay Area to socialize, network, and inspire one another. Over 140 teens across 17 Bay Area cities participated. Due to the success of the conference, it was awarded a 5 Snaps Award from the California Parks and Recreation Society. The city collaborated with the Cupertino High School's Future Business Leaders of America to host the Innovative Entrepreneurs Program. This program occurred November 21st and 22nd, and then again on the 28th and 29th. It was a free program where students were introduced to the basics of entrepreneurship by FBLA students. The students were then split into 7 teams and used concepts taught to create a product or service with a formal business plan. At the end of the program, the teams presented to a group of judges consisting of CEOs and Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. The program was very well received. Finally, we have several upcoming events in December. Shine Bright Cupertino is a house or yard holiday decorating event featuring houses all throughout Cupertino. The tour map was posted on the city's website on December 4th and will be available throughout the holidays. The map will guide residents throughout the local neighborhoods to look at festive decorations. 28 houses are participating in this event. Deck the Doors is a door decorating contest hosted by Cupertino Cares. Any door will do. To participate, please submit your photos to cupertinocares@cupertino.org by Wednesday, December 16th. 3 winners will be announced on Friday, December 18th. The winners will be given a $25 gift card to a local Cupertino restaurant. Holidays in Hawaii will be a Zoom event on December 9th from 1:30 to 3 p.m. It will be pre-recorded with live introductions from members of the dance group and band. Registration is required. The event will be open to the public. Please visit the Senior Center website for more information. And then we have 2 programs with Santa. Zoom with Santa is a virtual meeting with Santa Claus. This program was scheduled on December 4th and 5th, and a second session is scheduled for December 18th and 19th from 4 to 8 p.m. And then the Santa Stop, which is a drive-through to meet and greet Santa from a distance. Letters are encouraged. This event is scheduled for December 11th and 12th from 5 to 7 p.m. and on December 13th from 2 to 4 p.m. Registration is required for both events. For more information, go to regforrec.org. And that is all for December.
Wow. It has tons of update, but it's all colorful, beautiful. I mean, especially teens and others, that's amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Director Javan. Let's see, any commissioner reports? Let's see. See anyone ask it? I don't see any hands raised. So if that is the case, if no other things, I think we will move on to the commissioner attendance at upcoming meetings and events. Hello, Whitney. Do we have?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I forgot my commission update. I attended the meeting
Sure.
last week, which I believe a couple other commissioners were also on, just to share thoughts about what commissioners would like to see going forward. And a big part of it was the project management element. That was pretty echoed across a lot of the commissioners. And then also there was a lot of talk around the, oh my gosh, what's it called when only two commissioners meet?
Subcommittee one.
Subcommittee. There we go. There's a lot of talk around subcommittees as well, and how the Brown Act actually like works with that, and what transparency looks like, timelines, accountability, things like that. So just something to keep in mind for the future. Really cool to see the dashboard, but I did want to make sure, since I had come into contact with people regarding commission stuff, that I was there as well. And I know, again, a couple other commissioners were there too.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks for the update. So with that, if there's no other update from other commissioners, I think, hello, Whitney, do we have commissioners lined up for the next mayor's meeting, the next two?
I think now is when we need to start planning again. I think Sashi and Commissioner Begor was the last one to attend. And so now for January, February, it'd be nice to queue some people up.
Okay. January, anybody is ready? If not, I can go. And then February, any other commissioners would love to?
I can do it on in February.
Excellent. So
I can do March.
Yep. Wait. At least for the 3 months, you have folks lined up with me.
That'll be awesome. And I'll let you guys know when we get the specifics on attending.
Excellent. And I know based on the last meeting's input, I think we put in a future agenda setting. This is to collect any future agenda topic. Is that reason? I just want to make sure that we put in there. Excellent. So this will, again, since it is a new item, so I think we will go by commissioners if they have any item they wanted to bring it on the agenda, so they will just raise it. Okay, Commissioner Tambe.
Yeah, I would like to see the strategic plan, both short-term and long-term, just status update in a place where we can give feedback and stuff, regardless of where we are. I just would really like a more like formal update on that. And then the second thing that I would also like is the all-inclusive playground update as well, so that we can understand what's happening on that front, since we got a pile of money sitting there that we should be using soon. And then the final thing is it would be great to see an agenda item specifically on Memorial Park, the ponds at Memorial Park. The reason I say that I want a different agenda item for that is that the $200,000 that we currently have allocated in the strategic plan is not enough to actually start the process of closing up the ponds or fixing or whatever the ponds at Memorial Park. And while we are in a purple level and while COVID is happening, if the ponds are going to be closed, because they can't be used as they are right now, it actually takes about a year for the soil to settle once they've folded it in and knocked it in. So it'd be a shame if we're all out of COVID and suddenly we have to close down Memorial Park. So it would be great to bring that up. I know that when Randy was the interim director, he said that we should bring that up as a separate point, because we don't have the funds to do that right now, and it would need to be an independent allocation from the city council to be able to start that process again. So I'd like to put that back on the radar for folks.
Okay, good. Any other commissioners wanted to see any other future agenda items? Again, this is a collection, and I think we're not promising all will come in the January, but at least these are the things gets into the list, and then based on the information available, it will be prioritized. I think Commissioner Stanek, I think you have few requests.
Yeah, so I mean, basically everything that's on the work plan, I'd like to see proposed dates of and all the interim steps that we need to be focused on as a commission. So, I mean, my comment is partly about the format of it as well as the functional items, and that's like, it would be nice to see for the next, I mean, if we could do it for a year, we used to do it for the full fiscal year. If we can only do it for the next 6 months, and it's just placeholders, so that we have a sense that in January, we're going to be talking about these 3 things, or in February, we're going to talk about these things, and in March, these things. And so that we know that the dates that we're shooting for, staff has a clear idea of where they're looking to finish items by, and we can stay on track with those items. So it's really the vision of what are we going to be talking about? What are the major items we're talking about? And are we covering the items that we want to see?
Great. Thank you. And Commissioner Mina, you have something to bring it up? So you're on mute, I think, Commissioner Mina.
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Stanek. Yeah, I think I want to know the detailed schedule for each thing in the work plan. And for the Memorial Park, yeah, I have question too. It looks like for the short-term park update budget, it cannot, the budget is not high enough to fix the Memorial Park's problem. But for the long term, I don't know when we can start that process. And before that, can we get some rough idea of the proposal? Yeah, I want to know some more update on this. Yeah, because so many residents complained about Memorial Park. Yeah, especially after COVID-19, more and more people, they walk outside, and now they just concerned. Either they want the Memorial Park to go back, or maybe have some new proposal to fix it.
Great, thank you. And I do have one item. I think given all these, I think it's combining with the Commissioner Tambe and Commissioner Stanek and Commissioner Mina talked about it. I think it'll be good to have a standing agenda item for work program, which we used to have it. Let's have it as a work program, and that's a placeholder every standard month. And then based on the milestones, based on each program, wherever it gets into whichever month, it automatically comes into that as a one. We don't have to even to decide, because it says one of the work program needs to go to Park and Rec, the commission on January, and something you can be there in February or March for whatever, then automatically you can just slide that one into that whole placeholder. So it'll be good to have a default standing agenda item for work program. I think that will solve a lot of things come into play. From the dashboard, it will come into the agenda automatically. So that's the only thing I had.
Yeah, as a suggestion, Whitney might want to look at the work plan agenda items that Parks and Rec had maybe a year ago. It was on every agenda. And so that could be a starting place for you to see. And it was basically a listing month by month. And these are the things that we expected to be talking about. And then there was an area at the bottom of things that weren't scheduled because we just didn't have time or didn't know when we could get to them. So maybe that's a place that you could start to look at for that.
Absolutely. Excellent. So you have enough inputs, Whitney and Dr. Joanne. So I think you have a long list. And just I will add that this will be good to have it as published as well. It'll be good to see that. So if it is, so that we can know exactly what's coming up, what are those agenda items. So somehow, whatever way it is, it'll be good, good to see it published for us too.
Can I ask one question?
Sure, please.
Thank you. I as you were talking about it, Carol, I thought, oh, we'll just go back to the old agendas and pull up what they used to use. So that's a great recommendation. Since we have to publish on January 4th for the January 7th meeting. So can we potentially move that work program item to February to bring back to you based on what we find? I don't want to overpromise that we're going to bring it on January 7th with the limited amount of time we have to get to the agenda together, and we have 3 other items we have to put on there. So I'm just asking if I can bring that back to you all in February so that we really think through it and get it correct. And then we can potentially bring back the item that Nisha had mentioned about creating the standards of what you want to see, in those work program items. It's just a recommendation. If you want us to move forward with it, we will put something together.
Yeah, I think that it might be interesting to keep it for the January meeting, but not like, hey, here's a presentation of everything we're doing, but more as just a point for us to give feedback. So it's not like a constant deluge of information. It's just like concentrated for you guys in that one period of time. Might be nice.
Yeah, you can use it for discussion. So you can just bring it and say, these are the timelines, what we're thinking about it, and we can use this officially to talk about it and provide more inputs. But we will start from the new year. From January onwards, we will put that back into the agenda as a regular item. Excellent. Wow. So it's 8:57. And I know we discussed many things in a nice way. And this is the last meeting for this year. So again, we had almost every meeting, maybe except the one meeting, I believe, we had everything as virtual, right? Almost the whole year we had as a virtual meeting. But still, we could able to serve the community in a better way. I'm really happy that we were actively involved. Even we went up to 9, 10, 11 sometimes and discuss about all of these. Really appreciate all your time and dedication here, and especially given this purple tier and all of them, I'm looking at even the community members who might be watching this later. I'm sure that we have to stay safe, and I think that's very, very important for our health. So really appreciate all of you taking time and being with us, and take care and stay safe. And I call the meeting, adjourn the meeting at 8:58 p.m. before 9 p.m. first time. Thank you.
Have a great holiday.